I know there's a bunch of parents in this room and a bunch of parents watching, so I think you'll know what I'm talking about, but do you remember that first time that your baby falls asleep on your shoulder? I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that moment. Because in that moment, when Poppy fell asleep on my shoulder, I told myself, I got to quit politics. This is way better than politics. But in that very same moment, it occurred to me that politics is more important than ever. Because look at what is happening around us. Look at how we are treating each other. I mean, just look at the campaign they are running against us. There has been an endless supply of ads claiming that I support defunding or dismantling the police. That is false. That's absurd. I've supported law enforcement my entire career. I do not support defunding or dismantling the police. This district expects and deserves better than lies. And that's why I'm proud that our campaign is committed to the Clean Campaign Contract. There's 3 parts. The first is I won't say anything false or misleading about my opponent. I won't let anybody on my campaign say anything false or misleading. And I've asked my party, and I've called on any PAC supporting me to adhere to those same principles. And if they violate it and they send something false or misleading about Zach, I will be the first to denounce it. Because that's how important it is to me. And it's important because the way we run our campaigns is a reflection of how we'll govern. And I choose to campaign with the truth and with integrity. Thank you. The reason why you can't specifically end emergency powers right now with no plan, which is what the 4 votes would do, is because that would put a lot of people in a bad situation. The first is there would be no workplace protections. So if someone was an at-risk person, that if they get COVID, they would likely die, they would have to return to work without any protections whatsoever. And so they're likely not going to be able to return to work. They're going to be fired, and that's going to put them worse off. That's why we need a metrics-based approach so that we can have some sort of path out of this that's based on reduced hospitalizations. I think it's also important to recognize that the minute the emergency powers are ended, if we don't do a phased-out plan, there will be mass evictions, and that'll be a problem we have to solve. None of that, if that would happen, would help a small business, large or otherwise. I was the only Democrat in 2017 to support reinsurance, which is a program that buys down the premiums on the individual market. And then 2 years later, I was only one of 3 Democrats to support reinsurance. I think that's important for our small business community. But again, we need to allow people to buy into the Minnesota Care health plans. It's typically the health plans that people go to when they can't afford health care. But this plan would allow people to buy in. And it makes sense because taxpayers are already paying for it. The premiums are about 28% cheaper, and it's revenue neutral. So as we face this budget deficit that's upcoming, it's a critical program to allow people to buy cheaper insurance. Finally, I mentioned that we just recently had a baby in my opening remarks. And we were fortunate enough to be able to spend 3 months with Poppy. And I think every parent should get that. And I also think if a parent or child gets sick, you should be able to take care of them and build a relationship with them without going bankrupt. And so I think Minnesota needs some form of paid family medical leave. Thank you. But I want to return to something I said at the beginning of this, and it's related to the Clean Campaign Contract. The way we campaign is a reflection of how we're governed, and that's why I've committed to a positive campaign with the 3 points I've talked about. A week ago, we asked Zach if he would commit to those 3 principles, and so far, he's refused to do so. So I hope in his speech he commits to those principles tonight because this district deserves a ton better. Now, I'm going to tell you why you should vote for me, and it's a little weird because I'm not even going to tell you to vote for me because of the issues or positions I've taken. I'm telling you to vote for me because you know where I stand. I tell you where I stand. I give you my positions. And if you don't like them, you can find me, you can talk to me, you can argue with me, you can even yell at me. And maybe I'll yell back because that's kind of the guy I am. But we're going to talk that through. And we're going to figure that conversation out because we need to heal the divide of this nation.
2020 has certainly been a trying year thus far for all of us, our state and our country.